The Halfbrick Show.
Welcome back to the Halfbrick Show. Settle in, grab a seat, a nice drink maybe. I don't know, we don't normally say this, so do something like that. And maybe load up some IT crowd references. Because today we're talking to Paul from our IT team. As always, I'm joined by Carmen. How's it going, Carmen?
Hi, it's going great. My monitor's finally behaving after last week's, classic unplug it, plug it again, plug it back again fix.
Yep.
Which honestly, it's actually the full extent of my IT knowledge. But the good thing today is that we've got the real deal, the real superhero that's going to tell us what IT actually does here and everything Paul's had to put up with because of us. And publicly, I would like to apologize for that. Carmen from graphic design/marketing. And yeah, very happy not to be the tech support today.
Yeah, I can't keep track of the amount of times that I was going to say we, but I'll just say I've bugged Paul.
Oh no, I've
And he's
done that as well.
Exactly. He's always coming clutch. So yeah, let's just get right into today's chat.
Who the brick are you?
Hi, thank you so much for coming in here today and giving us some of your time, which I'm sure you're very, very busy. And sometimes we, Aiden and I, are part of that busyness. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Hey, Paul.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Aiden. Thank you for having me. I've been excited. I've been wanting to go on this for a long time. I've been bugging the both of you for several months. So now that we're here.
And you've helped us basically set up the podcast as well
Yeah,
back in the day.
Chief Technical Officer, technically.
Yeah.
Is that in the credits? I couldn't find it. I saw that in the chat. I was like, oh yeah, I'm the technical director of the podcast, apparently. Let's see.
Credits. I don't know if we have credits. We'll have to, maybe for this episode, we'll put it there to make sure everyone remembers.
Yeah, we'll make
Sounds
sure
good.
that comes in. So yeah, for when you are not being the chief technical director of the podcast, who the brick are you? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Paul. I've been at Halfbrick a very long time, almost 15 years, and I'm based on the Sunshine Coast, which is about 90 minutes north of Brisbane, which is the spiritual home of Halfbrick. Moved up a couple of years ago, originally from Brisbane, and yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Nice.
The Sunshine Coast. That sounds so dreamy.
It's exactly what it sounds like as well. It's it's if you know Brisbane's subtropical environment, hour and a half north of that. Beautiful, like the best beaches in Australia, if you ask me. A lot of sunshine, a lot of humidity, a lot of warmth. But this is the middle of winter for us at the moment, and we're still getting 21, 22 degree days, sunshine. You can still swim in the beach if you want to. So yeah, can't think of a better place to live.
Yeah, you have sold it to me. Next time I'm going to Australia, I'm definitely getting some days off and going to the Sunshine Coast because that sounds amazing.
At least Sunshine Coast is accurate, unlike Gold Coast. I haven't seen any gold.
There's no
Yellow
gold in the Gold
No,
Coast.
there's no. Yeah.
But isn't the sand like yellow or something?
I suppose, yeah. You could
In
go.
Bluey, it's yellow. So I'm going to assume that it's Bluey. I'm sorry.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. That's actually a pretty big temperature difference, Paul. I'm here on like 16, 17 degree days.
No, it was 21,
so.
22 today. I was outside at lunchtime. It's still cool in the morning, and same problem as Brisbane, where everything's built for the heat. So if you have a cool evening by rest of the world standards, it's cold. The house does not hold any warmth at all. So that's winter. Yeah, I wear a jumper for an hour a day, and then I take it off and I'm wearing my normal shorts and t-shirt. So
very nice. So what do you do at Halfbrick that you can allow yourself to just wear a jumper 1 hour in the day?
A lot of moving around. I can't sit still, despite being a remote job, I guess.
A standing desk?
I do have a standing desk, although I don't use it that often. I think I just break down, try and do focus work or try and break down the day into sort of 45-minute hour blocks, get up, walk around, go outside, just try and stay active, keep up the step count. I think that's super important for a desk job and in particular a remote desk job, because you talk to all your colleagues online in the same spot. It's not like you can walk over to the water cooler or the coffee machine or anything like that. So I think make a big point on staying active. And
do you go for the 10K step goal every day?
Not every day. It's less than that, but try to like most days a week. If there's a lunch break and it's sunny or in the morning, I usually have meetings pretty early, and then there's maybe a bit of a gap before the rest of the day starts. So we can try and get some exercise in there. But try and do what I can. Easier on the Sunshine Coast as well. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's harder in a way.
You're making me jealous.
There's a window here. I usually have it up, and you can see outside in the road. And where I live on the Sunshine Coast, everyone is so active. Every couple of minutes, there's someone, walking a dog, riding a bike, going for a run, and it's so infectious. But also, it guilts you if you don't do it every day. Exactly. Yeah. So I'll see that, and I'm like, okay, I'll go for a run at lunch, I suppose.
I respect it. I just noticed when we went remote, not that obviously I was at Halfbrick before, but going from like a retail job to a remote job. I mean, I think there were days where I was barely scraping 1,000 steps.
Yeah.
That was, so that's really cool. I do want to know, Paul, this is one of those like personal questions that I got to get every guest to answer. What's your favorite game of all time?
So
you can double answer if you want to say a Halfbrick one as well as a normal one, like a non-Halfbrick. Up to you.
The Halfbrick one, I've got like 5 answers for each, so I can't break it down. I'll start with the Halfbrick ones. At the moment, I'll play one Thrill of the Fight 2 game a week, slowly going through my career mode, which is another great workout to sort of break up the day, like excellent sort of upper body workout as well. Always been a fan of Dan the Man. I think the first game I played, many years ago was actually Jetpack Joyride before Fruit Ninja. I think most people sort of played it in the other order. So very fond of that. And then of course, Jetpack Joyride 2, I'll still play sort of every couple of weeks, playing Jetpack Joyride racing a couple of times a week as well, particularly if someone else is online and I can try and beat them, normally lose. Non-Halfbrick, I can sort of break it down into sections, I think. So like in the 90s, big Sonic kid, first half.
Nice.
Age of Empires, sort of second half as I got more into computers. And then after that, so Mass Effect trilogy. But this is one of the amazing things that they don't tell you about working somewhere at Halfbrick is you get so many good suggestions for games to play. And everyone is so knowledgeable. You can just sort of reach out to anyone and go, I've just finished this game. What do you recommend? And they'll just send you a list. Add more.
We know all about lists.
Yeah.
So it's good. I don't even have to think. I'll just reach out to other people and they'll tell me what to play. So last couple of years, just been trying to play at the very least sort of, the games of the year, even if it's a genre that I don't normally go for. And then if people Halfbrick have recommended it, it's usually pretty good. So it expanded my gaming palette a lot.
Wow.
So
was that Claire Obscure on one of those games?
It was the last game I finished actually a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, nice.
It was good.
Yeah, I finished it last year as well. It's good.
It is good. Again, like a genre that I wouldn't have expected to enjoy a lot going in, but just went in on the recommendation of others and the reputation of it and enjoyed it. I think Baldur's Gate 3 was the same. Not a genre I'd normally play, not like a setting I'd normally play, but loved it. It was like a game I played twice through, which I never do. Like I'm not usually the sort of person to do that. So
no, Baldur's Gate 3 is great. You're talking to someone here who has 436 hours.
Wow.
I'm trying to platinum it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only 4 achievements left. And most of them are like endings. I'm already end of Act 3, already have everything set up, and I'm going to save scum my way through it. Sorry to everyone listening. I already beat honor mode. Oh, it's legal. I have a life and a job.
That is so impressive. I played it twice and I'm like, I'm going to play it different the second time. And I didn't. I did the exact same choices. I had a very similar build.
Yeah.
I had the same ending.
No. Same thing here. I cannot bring myself to be bad, because to get one of the achievements, you have to get like the bad ending in which you are basically a villain, which is the great thing about this game is you can basically play it whichever way you want. You can just be, your typical D&D hero, or you can be someone who's a bit more roguish and doesn't take all the correct decisions. But I can never bring myself to be a total bad guy with no respect for everyone. I'm romancing the same people, I'm saving the same NPCs, I'm getting the same equipment. It's a comfort, kind of like those people who watch the same series over and over again. That's Baldur's Gate 3 for me.
Just change one or
like
two things each time and it's fine.
Yeah, just try new builds, and that's it. That's it. So big fans of Baldur's Gate 3. You then say Ratchet and Clank, which would have been the other thing Aiden's a big fan of.
That's okay. It's okay. I can't expect everyone to say it. Have you played Ratchet and Clank, Paul?
Like maybe the originals on PlayStation 2. Yeah, I enjoyed it. But yeah, I haven't played any of the new ones. But I can see the appeal.
I've got a pretty good streak of not mentioning Ratchet and Clank actually for the past few episodes. So
yeah, I'm sorry I broke it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's like you just cracked some little like trigger in my brain when you said it again.
I just didn't want you to feel alone. I mean,
that's okay.
I've been trying to get you to
Day.
play. Yeah, please do. Then we can do multiplayer. And
well,
I can basically, I can basically carry you through the entire game and tell you where everything is.
I wish I had that.
Yeah,
that would be so helpful.
You're welcome to come to our party.
Is it 4-player or 2-player or?
It's 4.
Yeah.
You can actually take people out of. You take the NPCs out of your party and you replace it with your friends. I mean, played a lot in multiplayer as well. It's one of the first role-playing games, like hardcore role-playing games, RPGs that do that. In my limited experience, at least, and it works very well. It's really, really, really fun. So if you're looking for something to play with your friends this summer or winter, I guess in Australia, play that.
Come and switch in studios. She's going to Larian.
I mean, I've spent a lot of time. Maybe I've spent more time in playing Colossatron actually, but no one wants to know about that. So yeah, I've spent quite a lot of time. I was just going to say that they could probably make Dan as a monk and then send us pictures in the email, but you broke the promo, so I'll just do it at the end of the episode.
Sorry, Carmen. I had to.
Yeah, I was actually setting it up, but you branded me as a traitor. And anyway, Paul, sorry. Anyway, Paul, would like to know what inspired you to get into the games industry. If there was anything in particular that you can come up with.
I think IT in the gaming industry, it's a niche job. So it was always aspirational. But yeah, just the fact that, it's only really a role that exists in sort of larger gaming companies. And then even then you add to that just how small the industry is in Australia, and then specifically sort of Brisbane and Southeast Queensland, the sort of greater Brisbane area as well. There used to be a studio that I used to walk past in Spring Hill on my way to like another job. I think every day you'd see like the logo there, and you're like, okay, that would be so cool. And then one day they put out an ad for like a junior sysadmin role. Applied thinking, no chance. But was lucky enough to get an interview and then start working there. And then there was no sort of stopping me from there. I think it's very hard for me to picture a different industry to work in nowadays. Just the amount of creative people that you get to work with on a daily basis, and seeing like firsthand people working like through game development. When I started at Halfbrick, we were in a very small office in Kelvin Grove, and the company was expanding, running out of space. So it would just be like when someone would start, you'd quickly run down to the store, make sure they'd have a desk that, often you'd have to assemble yourself. And then it's like, okay, you've got a desk, where should we put you? Oh, okay, like everywhere else is full. And I was lucky enough to be put with like in one of the games team areas. And I just got to see firsthand, like every day, just what they were working on. And I guess just the magic of even something simple like brainstorming and the creative mind, and then how they can just create like amazing ideas. Okay, that sounds cool, let's prototype that. And then they'll create a prototype and you can play it, and just instant fun, like you'll know straight away, this is going to work. So I think, the creative minds that you get to work with every day is probably one of the biggest appeal of working in this industry. And it's very much like I always say to people, I'm like front stage of a magic show and someone's doing a trick, and I sort of know the magic behind it, but even then I still can't understand it. I can't comprehend it, and it's still just magic to me. And I get to go in the office, and I get to do that every day, 5 days a week. So it seems like a pretty good industry to be in to me.
Yeah, like the game feel. Did you have that kind of like IT, what you said, sysadmin training? Had you like studied that before going for that role?
Yeah, so IT at uni, but before that job, I had a job working for a small Brisbane company that created like intercoms, like when you're at someone's house and you press the doorbell.
Yeah.
And I started there as sort of like a part-time uni job, but they needed sort of a sysadmin. And I tell people it was probably the best learning experience, is just getting access to a whole company like that, and then learning on the job. It sounds bad.
Yeah.
Learning the technologies when it's needed straight away, and then being able to support them and start, after a point in time, it's a lot of times a company will hire an IT person because there's a problem, and usually the job's very reactionary for the first 6-12 months, and then you get to the point where you can start being a little bit more proactive, reaching out, really discovering the sort of pain points of a company in terms of the technology, in terms of the processes, and then start helping to fix those things, or even identifying issues before they've seen it and help. And that's really when I think IT is sort of a superpower of a company, and one that a lot of companies don't know that they need. And the longer you work at a company, the longer you see the network, the longer you learn and meet and collaborate with the people that work there, and it really again amplifies things as well. And it just gets more and more powerful over time.
Damn. Yeah, it's really cool. I feel like you've kind of already brushed over it, but could you give me like a brief description of how if someone didn't know what IT was, specifically in the games industry, I suppose, how would you describe the role of IT?
It's a hard one, because I think everyone in their mind has an idea of corporate IT, or if they don't know that, they've watched the IT crowd and
the IT crowd. Yeah, of course.
They know the stereotype, the people in the basement just reacting to issues as they come up and then fix them. But the context at Halfbrick, and also to a larger extent in the gaming industry. So Halfbrick's not a big company in terms of staff, but it's a big company in terms of how many games we've got on the stores across many platforms, mobile, VR, console. And then you add to that Halfbrick's been around since 2001, so it's 25 years now. So because you've got a lot of history, you've got a lot of information, you've got a lot of tools, you've got a lot of platforms. The gaming industry, compared to a lot of other jobs, there's such a wide variety of software that we all use every day. And then you break down the disciplines, the artists have a lot of extra tools, the programmers and developers have a lot of extra tools.
Yeah.
So a lot of our job sort of almost feels like a switchboard operator a lot of the time, connecting the people, the platforms, the processes, the tools. And then on top of that, sort of maintaining the platforms and the tools, working out which ones to invest in, which ones need replacing over time. Maybe we used to do things this way. Maybe there's a better way of doing it now. Maybe we don't need to do that thing at all anymore. Now there's something else that we need to do instead. So you combine all that. And then you look on top of that, things like automation. And then to simplify that, a lot of days it's just looking at those, processes and platforms and tools. How can we make it faster? Or, days trying to work out why it stopped or it's not working, and we need to fix it to sort of stop that bottleneck or return things as they were, and really just allow everyone at the company to do what they do best without having to think about the technology, the platform, the software, the tools behind it. And then my job as head of IT, on top of all that stuff again, is the strategy. So planning, keeping up to date with what's new in the industry and tools and software and hardware as a whole, and then really keeping an eye out for things that will give us an edge as a studio as well, or something that could be potentially transformational as well. Again, if I can make someone's job a little bit easier, if I can save someone in the company half an hour, 1 hour a week doing something they don't want to do, that's a massive win for me and my team.
Yeah, shout out to Andy as well.
Andy is amazing. Shout out, Andy.
Yes, greatest IT team. It's huge. And I don't even think you've scratched the full surface of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just saying to you both before that I think explaining what IT does and what I do is probably one of the hardest questions. And I know that sounds so silly, but it's such a broad role. But yeah, to simplify it is like I love just looking for the gaps at the studio in terms of platforms, tools, or even internal knowledge that's gone missing over time, and then try and either patch those gaps or fix those gaps, or identify and bring those gaps forward so we can improve as a studio and keep making the games that we love playing.
Yeah, the magic part that you still get to see. Okay, well, speaking of working on games and more, other stuff around that, what are you working on at the moment? Could you give us a current day? Again, it changes every day pretty much, but what are you doing?
Yeah, no 2 days are the same. The last couple of weeks, so I was away on holidays for a couple of weeks, and then I think coming back from that, the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, have been a lot of working on internal tools and working on a platform to really make it easier for everyone else in the studio to create their own internal tools or their own automations and work on systems to make their life a little bit easier. But we've still got, the support and guidance of IT there if you need it. So we can spin up these processes and systems in sort of like a safe, secure, but also easy way as well. And then less back and forth between IT and the teams as well, which is always a win.
Yeah. And then there's also the tickets, right? I think that you two guys might have quite a similar job in that sense, because every day I wake up and there's like 100 IT tickets, not 100, at least hours within the company I think are nice. I always say like, hello IT, I'm sorry for bothering you at least. But that's also a big part, right?
Absolutely as well. So that's a lot of, there's no such thing as a small turn it off or on it again. My computer's not working. Turns out it's not plugged in type IT ticket.
Yeah.
Because the technical knowledge of the company is so high, when someone reaches out with a problem, there's almost always a problem. Something is wrong. And it's just sort of working out what that is and then how we can fix it. And then, a lot of the requests are requesting software licenses, tools, computer upgrades, but it's
stuff that needs to go through like your eyes and hands, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that as well. So we've got like an internal chat channel in the company that you've both seen. So that's sort of the public facing side of the tickets. I think it's quite good if you've got a problem to paste in a way where the rest of the company can see, because a lot of the time people will jump up and go, hey, I've got that same problem. Yeah, that's been frustrating me as well. What's up with that? But then there is also a way as well that you can submit tickets in a more private way as well, depending on what the issue is.
Yeah, I've always gone under the radar with the ticket system because I don't know why. I'm just like, I know it's probably simple. I'll just go straight to. I don't think I've once done a public IT request.
You don't want to be shamed for not knowing how to do anything?
I don't know. I just like the formatting of the actual interface. I can write full description and I don't know. Oh, I do want to know, Paul, on these internal team tickets. I noticed there's a CSAT, like a 5-star rating system. Have you ever gotten a 1-star? Has someone in the company ever been like, Paul, this is 1-star service?
Do you know, I don't even know if I've gotten many, if any, stars in there as well. I think it's been a long time. I think like it doesn't send you like a, hey, your ticket's closed, rate how we did type email. Right. I think it's just a field that you can go in and set. And I don't want to say I've never gotten one, because I think anyone listening will probably jump in tomorrow and start giving us 1 stars. So I'm going to say yes. Yeah, we've had those. No, but that would.
I know I've given you and Andy some 5 stars.
Thank you.
I'm like,
appreciate
thanks,
it.
Andy. Smiley face.
I didn't even know how to give stars, so I'm part of the problem. I'm super sorry.
So if you see a 1-star, it's common.
I'm 0 stars, which is even worse.
No stars is good stars.
Yeah, maybe. No. Yes, I'm sorry. I just didn't know how to give stars, but I'll set it for that next time, and I'll give you guys lots of stars to compensate. I guess. No, I've got like star anxiety. Our next question actually had to do with something you've said before, which was we wanted to know how many times turning something on and off again and repeating that process indefinitely has actually solved any problems. Because I feel like that's a big cliche, but sometimes I do have to say it works for me.
It does sometimes, but I think the more surprising one is someone will submit a ticket with a problem, and usually you need to do some investigation. So we can jump on a Teams call, start sharing the screen, and that'll explain in more depth the problem. And this happened yesterday, actually. And then they'll go through recreating the problem, and then the problem's gone.
Nice.
And they're just like, oh, come on, Paul, what did you do? I jump on a call and now it's working. This has been bugging me for so-and-so, I've tried this multiple times and now it's working. And then it used to work when we're in the studio as well. Someone would call you over and be like, Paul, check this out. Oh, it's working now. Oh, stay there, Paul, stay there. Yeah, stay there.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the most surprising one for me.
How'd you do IT back in the old days of the actual physical office? Just to add another question in. Sorry. Was there still a ticket system, or was that only when we went remote?
There was, because there used to still be a few remote people. It depends sort of what era. I think when in the last office that we had, we were all sort of in one large open plan area. So a lot of the time, I think people would just yell out.
Just yell
more than anything.
Paul.
That was the most effective way to create a ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, before that, there's always been a ticket system, many different tools or platforms, a way to do it over the years. I think that, and as I'm sure you'll agree as well, it's just an easy way to visualize the work coming in and then being able to split work up or delegate or
keep track of it.
Keep track of it, see trends as well. Like, it makes it easy if a lot of people are saying things that maybe that's something that should be automated, maybe the help desk documentation isn't good enough. So yeah, it's a really powerful sort of reporting tool for us. But yeah, even now that we're remote, a lot of the requests will just come through in chats as well, and that's fine. So
guilty of that these days. I'm sorry. I know I used to use the backend system, and a lot of the stuff I've been doing recently with those internal tools, like you were just talking about. It's kind of questions where I don't really know how to word this, so I'm just going to start a message to Paul to try and articulate.
And it's probably one of the biggest adjustments we had that when we switched to remote as a studio was it's very hard now. Like, you used to really be able to sense a problem if someone came to you when they were frustrated. And it could be even a small thing, but then they have to do this small thing every day, and it costs them 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And it doesn't sound that major, but then they've come to you when they're frustrated, and it's obviously something built up over time. And you can sort of jump into solution mode and help. Now that we're remote, a lot of the time when people come to you, they've thought about it, they've had a chance, like the frustration's still there, but we don't see that. They've calmed down by the time they write a help desk ticket. And it's a lot more formal, but then you also don't really get a sense of the problem and what it's costing them in terms of productivity, in terms of their workflow, which I find really interesting and probably the hardest thing about switching to remote. So I'm very, what's the word? Not tolerable. But yeah, when people come in the chat and it is just like, hey, this happened, and it's just, throwing words on a screen.
Yeah.
Maybe in frustration, and that's great as well, because we can really get a sense of how big the problem is and what we can do as a team to fix it, or even make things a little bit easier, or if it is something that we need to do and it's a bit of a hard block, then how we can help sort of describe that and make allowances here or there.
Yeah. Rather than the calmly worded public IT ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong with that?
No.
Maybe if you have something that you wouldn't say in a public IT ticket, maybe you don't have to say it. Maybe politeness is the way, but that's my opinion, I guess.
No, it's real.
So that's fun, because I was going to ask what was the least fun part of the job, and I would have bet it was something like strongly worded tickets or something like that. But please enlighten us.
No. Internal IT, there's no strongly worded aggressive tickets. I would say
thinking about
the least fun part of the job, and I think it's just IT. A lot of IT jobs in general is sometimes like a lot of the maintenance and a lot of the work is. It doesn't need to be done outside of office hours, but it's usually easier if you can. And because we're a remote company, out of office hours usually means Sunday. So it does mean a lot of weekend work to cover up, but that comes with the territory in IT. And there's something very peaceful about getting a lot of that IT maintenance work done, or taking something down, and just the calm of doing it on a Sunday morning, with a coffee and very low, if not no risk of someone reaching out. So
no
you can
one's
really,
going to need it.
Yeah, you can get in the flow. You've got time to fix the problem as well, like, or do the maintenance. If you were trying to do it during the week in like a maintenance window, it adds, an element of stress there as well. So, but it comes with the territory, and I've been in IT a long time. I'm pretty used to it, and I'm at the point where I enjoy it anyway.
To compensate, I was also going to ask, what's the most fun part of the job, in your opinion?
There's a lot. This is going to be another one where I'm probably going to have to give more than one answer.
Well, that's good. That sounds positive.
I think just seeing firsthand, as I said before, like people create the magic. A couple of times a year, we'll do like an internal company game jam, and that's a very rare occasion where I get to work on, like, have direct influence sort of on a game or a prototype that's being developed. And then again, like seeing it even more sort of granular, in your face level, just the creative smart minds that everyone here is. And then at the end of the week, play it, and then just be like, how did they do this? How is this fun? I don't want to not stop playing this game after the game jam. I want to keep playing it. How can I hold on to it somehow?
Well, Carmen, we're building a bit of a dream team for the Colossatron dating sim that Carmen wants to pitch. So you're welcome to join that team in the next game jam.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't want to embarrass myself, but it's okay. Yeah, it's the biggest kept secret, but I would say worst kept secret in the company. I love Colossatron a whole lot, and I think that it would make for a great dating simulator. We had Maddie in the past episode, and she actually pitched a lot of ideas. So you're welcome to join. You're welcome to join. The
that already sounds like an all-star team.
That's right.
Yeah. The tagline is, "He destroyed Earth. Will he destroy your heart?" With an interrogation mark. So I feel like that's pretty good. That's already interesting.
I want to see more. I want to see some design docs. This is intriguing. I think you've got me on board. And it is
I really actually do want to pitch this. just
It is always a good idea to have someone from IT on your game dev team, just quietly. Yeah. Like it doesn't start off well, because our first day we're helping sort of support the studio in terms of getting everyone else set up with tools they don't normally use, licenses, temporary licenses, things like that. Getting everyone familiar with access to systems that they wouldn't always normally use. And then it sort of quietens down, and then we can finally join our team maybe half a day later, and then we can provide red carpet service to everyone on the team, and then start helping out as well. So if not me, then Andy. There's a secret.
Okay, the team will grow. The Avengers are being assembled.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think so. Was there another fun part you want to bring up before I get to the next question?
I think that's the main one. I think everyone at the company has a great sense of humor. You'll see that a lot at the full company meetings. Again, it ties into being very creative. I think everyone's can think quickly on their feet. And I don't think I ever laugh so much as when there's like a whole company gathering and you just see everyone in one place. And you would think as well, being a remote company, that you only ever see people through a screen, that when everyone meets that there would be a little bit of shyness or nervousness, but it's not like that at all. Everyone's just carries on the conversations that they've had online. There's big hugs and the jokes carry over. And then I think by the end of the week, I think everyone's even closer again. And then you go back home, and then the jokes and the inside jokes, and they all seem to carry on. So I would, working with bricks is the best part of working at Halfbrick.
Nice. Actually, for the listeners, I should clarify, we call ourselves bricks. I don't know if we've ever said that on the podcast.
Yeah. We've said that, I think.
We've said that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Probably makes sense. So we are like, what is this, episode 39 or something? So I've lost track. But just in case anyone was picturing Paul literally working with bricks. Yeah, that's the best part of the job. So do you recall then, if there was ever a huge, like, Colossatron level threat, right? Technical hurdle that you've overcome during your time that you can share, I guess, if there's like security reasons as well?
I have two. I have one, and I can laugh about it now because it was a long time ago. Okay. I think it was 2019. So we were still in the studio, and we had a server room, which was several racks of IT infrastructure equipment. And one of the things you have in there is a big sort of disk array, so called a SAN, if you know what that is. It's sort of like a NAS, but just big collection of hard drives holding lots of information. And because you've got lots of hard drives, you've got redundancy. So if one of the hard drives fails, that's fine. The information that was on that drive will be somewhere else on the others, and it can sort of rebuild itself. And it's designed for things to fail and it'll be okay. And this particular array had a lot of our tools and source code and stuff that we need to develop the games internally.
Already scary. Yep.
So it's a Friday night. I think it was like 9 o'clock, or maybe it was even later than that. I get an alert on my phone that a hard drive's failed. So it self-reports, it'll send alerts. The timing wasn't great. I was like, oh, it's a bit annoying. I've been in the office for a week, but it is what it is. Like we've got spares there. I'll switch it out. It won't be a big problem. But then I got another email that another drive's failed, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. All the drives in the array gone. And I didn't find out what it was until like a week later. It turns out there was a bug in the firmware of those drives where once they get to a particular amount of hours, I think it was something like 4 years. Game over.
Okay.
It just gets to like 4 years of usage, wiped, gone. And the data is unrecoverable. It's just like a firmware corruption issue on the drives. I didn't know this at the time. So obviously panicking, but thinking like that many drives can't just fail. Surely it's the control plane of which there's redundancies. Like there must just be an answer to this. So that weekend was spent many hours in the studio trying to recover the drive, and then realizing when that wasn't going to happen, making the decision to sort of restore from the backups, which when you're restoring terabytes and terabytes of data can take a while. And this is, like eight or so years ago now, where the disks were slower, the processors were slower, so it take a lot longer to restore that amount of information then as it did now. And then just doing everything we can just to make sure everything was somewhat running by Monday. And my wife and kids would visit throughout the weekend, bringing me care packages. So I had like cinnamon scrolls or coffees and food and stuff. I think I got bits and pieces of sleep. I think once I decided to sort of restore the backups. After that, it was a lot of just waiting around and checking things. And I think we were pretty much back by Monday. I think all the core stuff was back. I think it wasn't maybe until lunchtime that everything was completely back. And then the funniest thing about this story was about a week after it happened, I figured out what the problem was. And I get a call from the vendor of the disk array saying, super urgent. We've identified an issue with the disks.
No.
That they break when they get to 4 hours of usage. You need to upgrade your firmware now. And I mentioned, I was like, oh, this happened to me just over a week ago.
Yeah.
And just the shock of the person on the other end of the line. I don't think they knew what to say. The script obviously didn't cover for that. It must have been.
They were trying to save you.
They were trying to save me, and it was just like, oh, okay, goodbye. It just made it even worse.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a good lesson.
Comfort.
It was a good test of our processes that we had at that point. I can laugh about it now. It took a long time to be able to laugh about it. But I think everyone in IT has a story like that.
Yeah.
It's usually like data loss or something. So.
Yeah, crazy. It's a relief to know that there were backups because I wasn't sure. And when you said that, I'm like, okay, well, at least it didn't lose every game in Halfbrick's history.
It was. Yeah, we got there in the end. At the time, there's obviously things you can learn from going through something like that, so you can tweak and improve the process going forward. And something we identified that a lot of the, I guess, more archive type drives where there wasn't many changes, they were only getting backed up once a week, but that was happening on a Saturday. So there was the potential for data loss, and we were very lucky that there wasn't there. So that was something that we improved going forward. But yeah. Don't want that to happen again.
Oh, that definitely was a Colossatron level thread.
Yeah.
To be honest, I cannot imagine how stressed you might have been. Because also imagine if the people had come in back on Monday and all of their work was gone. I mean,
It's just you
that
in the
would have,
server room.
yeah, that would have, I just imagine it like a zombie apocalypse or something, people crying or something like that. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but well, glad that turned out okay. I mean, every time I don't save anything in my computer and then my work is gone, I go through that process. So maybe
Absolutely.
that's where the drama comes from. So our last question for this segment is how much of your work touches things players actually feel, even if they never see your name on it? So I feel like in the Halfbrick Show, we try and interview everyone in the company, and sometimes the support teams aren't as visible. Sometimes as the design teams, of course, everyone's important. Everyone has their own place on it. But yeah, no, we'd like to bring a little bit more of the support teams into the light.
The thing that I'm most proud of, this was again a couple of years ago now, that I was actually working with a team during a sprint, and it was the Jetpack Joyride Star Trek event. So I'm a big Star Trek fan. Like I think I jumped at the opportunity to help a little bit with the design of the game, but also I remember trying to work out like the characters, try and get like a wide array of characters across the many different TV shows and movies that there's been for Star Trek, and sort of very lucky that could try and pick out my favorites as well, and then look at the costumes and the outfits and stuff. So I think every time I see that, that's probably the thing that I can see physically when I play the game that I'm most proud of. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Have you done any other like design aspects for any other games in the company? Or?
No, it's just that one. I heard they were doing it. And I think I pretty much I didn't even ask. I think I just started turning up to their sprints and just started giving feedback and be like, okay, I'm here now.
Up. Yeah.
So then
clicked on
they
that
had to
and
listen
then never
to me.
touched it again.
Yeah. So and then disappeared at the end of the sprint. That was it. I think a lot of the other crossovers, there's been some awesome. There's always at least one sort of super fan in the company for any sort of particular IP or crossover, and that was the one that I absolutely felt I knew the most about compared to everyone else and jumped at. So I think I've got a Star Trek Enterprise on my desk, apart my many other trinkets. So
nice.
Okay. So, Paul, you've survived all of the questions that we throw at the guests, so thank you. Now you got to get through the guest games. We still don't have an actual name for these, but the two little fun segments. Guess the community comment.
Yes.
Being the first one. Obviously, you don't know what the comment is, but Carmen and myself, we scour YouTube, Instagram, socials, or we invent one that's real or fake. And that's what you got to tell us. Has it come from a real player or have we made it up? So the comment is, quote, Dan the Man 2 is releasing after the message that Queen Elizabeth II wrote finally gets opened. End quote. Is that
very
it's normally just a vibe. It is.
Yeah, I'm going to the vibe. Just given this, I'm going to say it's real.
You can say
Lock
it's
it in.
real.
Yep.
Lock it in real. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh.
No, he's not messing around.
No.
All right. It is real. Yeah. Congrats. That's it.
Undefeated.
This is I love this comment. I saw it. It's on a Jetpack Joyride pirate event short. As usual, completely unrelated to Dan the Man, but there's that Dan the Man 2 comment. Thank you, listeners. Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know about this letter from the Queen, and I had to look it up. I'm like, oh.
That's what made me think it was real, because I was like, I don't know about this.
It's so specific. Yeah.
What's that? For those who might also not know it, like me.
Fair. Yeah, true. Okay, so apparently in Sydney, Australia, the Queen has a letter that she wrote to, I guess, the mayor of Sydney or whatever. I don't know. Not Sydney.
Okay.
Something like that. And it says do not open until, I think it's 2082 or something like that. I remember I was like, I might be alive to know what it says if I'm lucky. I don't know. It's around that 80 something. Yeah, I think we can pretty confidently say Dan the Man 2 will probably be out before that.
I like that it was done on a Jetpack Joyride pirate event short. Almost like the note's going to explain where some treasure is.
Oh,
and now we're going to have to wait a long time to find out. But it could be a treasure map.
It could be.
And then that person may have already known what was on there and then just happened to drop a clue that it was happening during the pirate event, which is...
Maybe we're on the Queen's Guard or the staff that worked very closely.
Exactly.
If anyone knows there.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
yeah,
the
that's that
map
common.
is what leads to Dandeman 2.
Ooh, yep.
And that's
I don't
why.
know if
That's
we
what
want to
this
wait
person
until
believes that.
2080s to find that map.
I don't know. I don't know. I think this person has more information than we do, actually. But that it's a perfect segue into the next question, which is everyone's favorite. Where's Dandeman 2? And don't say the map.
Yeah.
The map. Did they? I don't think they put a ticket in to release the game, an IT ticket. I think they were missing. That's probably the last step as well. But I don't remember seeing a ticket in the chat or in the list. So maybe once that's done, it's the last thing.
Politely in the public ticket channel.
Yeah. See, Aiden, that's why it's important to do public tickets.
Yeah.
So otherwise things don't get released.
That's fair. That's fair. There you have it, folks. Someone's going to try and get on the internal system just to make a IT ticket. Release it! Okay, final thought question. All right, this is the last one. Sometimes a big one. Depends on the person. What's one thing that the games industry has taught you that wasn't in the job description?
I think the most important thing, probably not just IT as well, I think usually in a lot of events when there's a lot going down, is just the ability to remain calm under pressure. And I know that sounds easy, but with any job, there's going to be days where, you know, anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
But just I guess the ability just to take a second to stop, prioritize, and I think with a lot of people you work, if you think back to someone that you work with that you think is amazing at their job, a lot of the time they're methodical, they're calm. Everything could be going on around them, but they'll still be the one that everyone sort of looks to for advice, looks to for what to do next. And I think it's such an underrated skill. It's something that's easy to think about, but also very hard to learn as well. So that's probably something you didn't learn, but something you learn, I guess, while you're on the job. And some great advice for any job, really.
Learned after that weekend with the servers, I imagine.
Or
during.
Before, but yeah, I was calm. I didn't get any sleep, but I was calm. So, and I had plenty of nice things to eat, plenty of cinnamon scrolls, so that the sugar sort of powered me through, kept me calm, I suppose. Cancelled it out with chamomile tea, maybe. I don't know.
Balanced. Perfectly balanced.
Yeah. We need to get some sort of doctor or diet person to check on that, because I'm not sure that's how it works. But for the sake of I don't know, for the sake of the story, we'll say that it's true. So yeah, thank you so much, Paul, because you have reached the end of the interview. You have survived. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, both of you. So it's been really enjoyable.
Yes, thank you, Chief Technical Director of the podcast. Much appreciated.
It's been so great to have you on, honestly. I don't know where Halfbrick would be without you. Honestly, we're really, really grateful you're here. And thanks for getting me this cool mic.
You're very welcome.
I gotta get you. You helped me get this mic. I'm pretty sure there's a spare floating around. We should send one your way for future podcast
Absolutely.
endeavors.
I think it's actually, they've got a cupboard that's over here that's full of equipment. I think there is one in there. But it's probably 2 meters away, and I've just never thought to get it out of its box.
Next episode you're on season 2, pod season 2.
If you'll have me again, I'll be on again.
Gladly, Paul. Of course. Yeah, thanks again, Paul, and thanks to the listeners as well, as always. If you have any feedback for the show, you know where to send it. theshow@halfbrick.com. It's that email address that we love to plug, and I stole Carmen's thunder on earlier in the episode. But
it's fine. It's such a great email. I understand that sometimes you also want to say it.
Which I'm pretty sure Paul helped me set up.
Yeah.
I think I may have.
So thanks again.
Via a chat and not a ticket, if I recall.
Via a chat? It sounds about right, yeah.
I mean, we didn't want to spoil anyone, so I'll allow it.
No, that was the secret. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So this is the end of the episode. So we hope that this has been an episode that you can look back on with nostalgia. And thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of the Halfbrick Show.